Before we start, there's stuff that I want to tell you not from the page. We have in this week's Parshat, we continue with laws of Kohanim and various laws to do with the Mikdash, and then in Perek Kaf Gimel, we have what is an introduction to Chagim, easy to remember, Kaf Gimel Chag, easy to remember. Torah B'Kiyot, we're beyond that now. Anyway, we're in Bamidbar. And we have a structure of Chagim, which when we repeat the Chagim in Parshat Re'eh, is not repeated. Meaning, you will not find Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur there. You will not find Shmirat HaOmer there. You'll find the Shloshet HaRegalim. I think because in Parshat Re'eh, the emphasis is on Aliyah L'Regel, the need to come to Yerushalayim, and that is only really contingent to Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. What is interesting, amongst many things, is dates of Chagim. So let's do a bit of Chazara. The date of Pesach is when? Well, Yud Daled is Erev Pesach, and then Tet Vav. It's the 15th, full moon, 15th. Polar, 15th, full moon, right? Full moon. Okay. Sukkot is?
15th of Tishrei.
15th of Tishrei, full moon, right? Full moon. Okay, what other Chagim? Yom Kippur is? 10th of Tishrei. Okay, Rosh Hashanah is? Aleph, but it's not clear. It's not B'Keser B'Yom Chagenu, and at least we don't know that it's Yom Adin, that's not clear. Shavuot. Where'd you get that date from? Did you get that date from Parshat Emor?
No.
Did you get it from Pinchas?
No.
Did you get it from Re'eh?
No.
Did you get it from Tazria Mitzvah?
No.
Definitely no. You didn't get it from anywhere actually, because it's not written anywhere. The date of Shavuot is not written anywhere. In fact, Shavuot in the days of the temple could be on the 4th, 5th, or 6th, depending on a 2-day Rosh Chodesh or 1-day Rosh Chodesh. It could be a double 2-day Rosh Chodesh. Shavuot does not have a date. Shavuot is in fact 50 days after Pesach. It leads us into a fascinating discussion, which we're not going to have, about 2 days Yom Tov on Shavuot. Because theoretically, 2 days Yom Tov is because you didn't know the day in Chutz La'aretz. But it's 50 days after Pesach, and by then you do know the day. Like 50 days after 15 days, you know what the date is. So 50 days after Pesach, you know when Pesach was, so you know when Shavuot will be. And there's actually a different din on 2 days Yom Tov on Shavuot, the Chumrah, but it's not Shaykh this year anyway, because the second day of Shavuot will be Shabbat, which is L'chumrah anyway. So the only difference for people keeping 2 days is that they'll say a different Amidah. Everyone's keeping Shabbat. That's in this particular year. But otherwise, Shavuot does not have a date. This leads us to something else. It's the 50th day of the Omer. Shavuot is the 50th day of the Omer. When do we start counting the Omer? Second day of Pesach. How do you know that? No, we just do. How do we know that? Yishai. There's a song about it. She's singing so many songs. And you're looking at me thinking, why is he asking so many questions? This is not Rabbeinu. Why is he asking so many questions? The Pasuk says, Usfatem lachem imachorat ha-Shabbat. From the day after Shabbat, we should count the days. So we're counting 49 days, and we get to the 50th day of this Shavuot. What is the machloket? The famous machloket, renowned machloket regarding the Machorat HaShabbat between the Tzedukim and Chazal. Well, if I take the Machorat HaShabbat literally, it means that I count the Omer from the first Shabbat on Pesach, Shabbat Chol HaMoed. Which means that Shavuot would be 50 days after Shabbat Chol HaMoed, meaning Machorat HaShabbat. But Chazal came along and said Shabbat is the first day of Pesach. Why is the first day of Pesach Shabbat? What does the first day of Pesach got to do with Shabbat? The first day of Pesach is a Chag. So since when was the first day of Pesach a Shabbat? That we call it Mimachorat HaShabbat, so that the second day of Pesach is where we start counting the Omer. Why is the first day of Pesach called Shabbat? And you will ask me, who cares? What's the big deal? Call it Shabbat, call it Fred, call it what you want. Mimachorat HaShabbat, what's the big deal? You're going to talk about that for an hour? No, but let me take you back to something I discussed with many of you at Lupachova. Lupachova is a Kever Achim of the Jews of Tikkachim. And I was talking about the Kedusha of Lupachova, and I discussed two types of Kedusha. I can't imagine you remember, and there were those of you who weren't there. I talked about Iteruta de La'ela and Iteruta de Latata. I talked about two totally different types of Kedusha in the world. One is called Kedusha de La'ela, which for our purposes I will describe as being inherent Kedusha. Inherent Kedusha means it's holy. It doesn't matter what you do or what you think is holy. Israel is holy. It's inherently holy. Lakewood is not. Israel is holy, inherently holy. It has Kedusha de La'ela. God chose the land of Israel. It is Kedusha La'ela. The Maharal, Rav Kook, the Kuzari will say that Am Israel have Kedusha de La'ela. We are inherently Kadosh. It doesn't matter what we do. Of course it does, but we are still inherently Kadosh. Shabbat is inherently holy. What do I mean when I say Shabbat is inherently holy? What I mean to say in the most practical terms is that it doesn't matter whether you light candles or whether I go to shul, whether you go to shul or I light candles, Shabbat will happen at the same time, at the right time every week, irrespective of me or you. It is inherently holy day, Shabbat. And that's why when you make a bracha on Shabbat, you say, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Mekadesh HaShabbat. God sanctifies Shabbat. It has nothing to do with me. Shabbat is Shabbat. What is a Chag? A Chag is Ituruta de Latata. Why? I create the Kedusha on a Chag. Why? Because I fix the dates. Moadei Asher Tikru'u Otam, Eilehem Moadai. Meaning, the Pasuk says in Perek Kaf Gimel Emor, in our Parshat, I fix the dates, so I create the holiness on a Chag. Which means a Chag doesn't have inherent holiness, it has a holiness created by a person, and that's why the bracha on a Chag is Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim. God sanctifies Israel, Israel sanctifies the time, and so Chagim are man-made because we fix the months, we fix the days. Shabbat is God-made. Shabbat is holier. So why is the first day of Pesach called Shabbat? The first day of Pesach, according to Chazal, Mimochorat HaShabbat is Shabbat. Then it's first day of Pesach. So why? First day of Pesach should be Chag. It should be the day after Chag. And that's where the confusion is, right? That's why the Sadukim thought it was Chol HaMoed Shabbos. And Shabbos Chol HaMoed, it's the Omer, because you never call a Chag a Shabbat. The only Chag that's officially called Shabbat is Yom Kippur. Shabbat Shabbaton. But otherwise, and it isn't Shabbat, Yom Kippur. Shabbat is holier than Yom Kippur. But otherwise, the only reason you fast on Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbat is Sheva Al Taseh, right? But Shabbat is holier than Yom Kippur. Shabbat, there are seven aliyot, and on Yom Kippur there are 6. Shabbat is a holier day. So why would Pesach be called Shabbat? Why is it inherently Kadosh? So let me suggest the following. And I might have said, I don't think I gave you a Shiur on Haggadah, but I did give Torani a Shiur on Haggadah, and I gave MTA a Shiur, right? On Haggadah? Yeah, in Kibbutz? Yeah. Rav Hirsch asked a question, just go back to the Haggadah briefly. Rav Hirsch asked a question on Halach Ma'anya, Di Achalu Avhatana Ba'arad Mitzrayim. This bread of poverty, which is called matzah, is what we ate in Egypt. Rav Hirsch says this was the food of slaves. It was slaves' food because it fills you up and it doesn't cost a lot of money, matzah. We're not talking about mahadrin matzah, we're talking about matzah of slaves. Doesn't cost a lot of money. Cheap, fills you up. That's what we ate in Egypt. Then Rav Hirsch asked the following question. If that's what we ate as slaves, why do we eat it in celebration of our freedom? If this is the food of slaves, if we eat matzah as slaves, why would I remember my freedom by eating the matzah? And Rav Sussman says something extraordinary here. There are many times in history, not just of the Jewish people, of any people, where freedom comes through an uprising, through rebellion. And the people earn their freedom. The October Revolution in 1917, the people rose up. And many revolutions throughout mankind have been instigated by people. Rav Hirsch said the Torah wanted to point out when we came out of Egypt, we came out as slaves. There was no uprising of the people. God took us out of Egypt. We didn't deserve to come out of Egypt. We said that in the Haggadah, V'ata Aron be'eryah, quoting the Yechezkel, V'omar lach b'damai chayi, V'omar lach b'damai chayi. We only had 2 mitzvot when we came out of Egypt, Pesach and Milah. That's all we had. We didn't have any other mitzvot, and we didn't deserve to come out. We hadn't earned coming out. God took us out because we were about to disappear off the face of the earth. So with regards to Yetziat Mitzrayim, Pesach, that first night of Pesach, is a Shabbos. It's instigated by God, not by us. We didn't do anything. We were taken out even though we didn't deserve. Kriyat Yamsuf, the Malachei Hashem says, Elu Ovdei Avodah Zarah, why are you saving these and killing these? They're both the same. They're idolaters and they're idolaters. We didn't earn leaving Egypt. God took us out of Egypt. I can go much further on that theme. I think we'll run out of time if I do. But there was a choice. According to the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, after 6 months of plagues, there was no more slavery. Now, this is a passing comment in the Gemara, but the ramifications of that comment are enormous. Because when Moshe arrives in Egypt, we had 2 choices. We had one choice was to stay in Egypt as slaves or leave with Moshe. But after 6 months of the plagues, we had 3 choices. We could stay as slaves, leave with Moshe, or we could stay there and not be slaves. Because that was a new reality according to the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah of that year, 6 months before Pesach, we weren't slaves anymore. We could have stayed there and people didn't want to leave. 4/5 of the Jews were killed in Choshech. That's what Chazal tell us. People didn't want to leave. We were schlepped out of Egypt at the lowest level. So Pesach, the first night of Pesach, is a gift. The next day we go down to Nor again and we have to earn it ourselves. That is why it is, if you're looking for a Pshat, and if you're a Sfaradiya, you know this, we only say Hallel on the first day of Pesach. Because as I've told you, on plenty of occasions, half Hallel isn't Hallel. Half Hallel is a minhag. And that's why Sfaradim don't make a bracha on half Hallel, not on Rosh Chodesh, and not on the last days of Pesach. The first day of Pesach we say Hallel, because we came out complete, and after that we go down to Nord, and then we have to earn it ourselves during Siyat HaOmer. Shavuot doesn't have a day, ladies, because Shavuot is the last day of Pesach. Absolute Pshat. The Ramban says that Sfirat HaOmer is Chol HaMoed. And because I've got this so much part of my thinking, I don't even feel an anticlimax after Pesach because I know that it's Chol HaMoed. The last day of Pesach is Shavuot. Shavuot is called Atzeret. Just as Shmini Atzeret is the last day of Sukkot, and it's called Atzeret. In fact, the Balei HaTosfos suggests there should have been 50 days between the first day of Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret, but it goes into the winter, and God was Chasar Am Yisrael. Tosfos. Well, that doesn't interest me right now. What interests me right now is that we start a process in that God, and I've spoken about this before, I'm not speaking about this today, just to remind you, God sets us an aim on the first day of Pesach, and then he says, now you go and do it yourself. He shows you, he reveals himself to you in the most incredible way on Seder night, and the next day, you start from nothing and you count 49 days until you get to Shavuot on your own. And by the time you get to Shavuot, you get it with your own effort. It's yours. And this, I have pointed out to you in the past, is repeated in a number of different famous midrashim that you know. Like you knew all of the Torah before you were born, and when you came out, you forgot it all. It's the same thing. You had it, It was taken away, now earn it yourself. The same thing with the shidduch, right? That God declared who your shidduch was before you were born. But now you've got to go find him. It's the same thing, it's there, but now you have to earn it. It's there, you know it's there, but now you have to earn it. Just as an introduction. But look at Sfirat HaOmer, and again, this has been, and I got something to say about that as well, but maybe next week, Likrat Lag BaOmer, the notion that you would do a velut in Sfirat HaOmer is shocking. In the same way that you know, I don't know whether you do know, I hope you don't know, that if someone dies on Chol HaMoed, you bury them and you don't sit Shiva until after Chag. If someone dies on Chol HaMoed, you bury them, you have to bury them, and then you carry on with the Chag, and the minute Chag goes out, a person starts sitting Shiva. There is no Avelot in Chol HaMoed. So the fact that there's an Avelot at all in Sfirat HaOmer is a big question mark, which needs to be related to it. It's not the theme today, but it's not a given. This is a good period of time, and I'll tell you the nafkamina halachically. Just so you understand, there's reason in halacha. During the 3 weeks, we don't say Shechianu. During Sfirat HaOmer, according to most people, you can say Shechianu. What's the difference? If they're both periods of mourning, why can you say Shechianu according to many people in Sfirat HaOmer, but you can't in the 3 weeks? It's to do with the nusach. What's the nusach of Shechianu? It's not about buying something new and being happy with me. It's the nusach of the bracha. Shechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu l'azman hazeh. In the 3 weeks, we're not interested in coming back to this time. We want it to be a different time. We want there to be geula. We want to make mikdash. It's a horrible 3 weeks. Sfirat HaOmer is a good period of time. It happens at the time when Rabbi Akiva died in that period of time. There were pogroms during that time and things happened during that time. But fundamentally in the Jewish calendar, Sfirat HaOmer is part of the Chagim. And if you come to Alon Shvut for Shabbat, you will see we have special parochot for Chagim, and they keep the same parochet on the Aron Kodesh from Pesach through to Shavuot. They don't take it down because the whole period, not because we can't be bothered or it's too much hassle, but because this whole period is a period of Chag. The fact that we now have Yom HaTzmaut and Yom HaSholim just embellishes it more. That is an introduction. So we understand that Sfirat HaOmer is two things. Number one, it's Chol HaMoed, between Pesach and Shavuot. Shavuot is essentially one day. And you'll see in Israel, it's a day that disappears, right? Especially when we apply this minhag of learning all night. By the time you get up the next day, it's finished. It's like finished. You get up 1 o'clock for lunch and it's finished. We go Shabbos after this time, but otherwise it disappears. And you thought, well, one day, the whole thing's for one day. No, it's the last day of Pesach. The whole purpose of coming out of Egypt was to get to the Torah. It wasn't just to come out and walk the streets as free people screaming liberty. The purpose was to come out and go somewhere and get. So that's what Sfirat HaOmer is. And it's about attaining something yourself. Okay? Now, with that in mind, have a look at this Rebbe Nachman. I'm jealous of you in that you're discovering Rebbe Nachman much earlier than I did. This is in Likutei Halachot, Hilchot Pesach, Tet Ot Kafbet. We'll do whatever we have time to do, but it is exceptional. It amazes me how much more can you get out of a subject. I've given so many shiurim on Usvaltem Lachem. You should count for yourselves. And I've never seen this Rebbe Nachman. I saw it on Shabbos. And the first one is more important for me than the second. V'zeu usvaltem lachem, lachem la'asmechem. Again, we're talking about achieving, building yourself as a person. Count for yourself. And Rebbe Nachman, as always, is going to give us a very, very important lesson. Lachem la'atzmechem daika. For you, specifically for you. Shekol echad tzarich lispor sfirat ha'omer. Everyone has to count the omer. I can't be motzi. You have to count. I have to count. Each one of us has to count. Shehu b'chinat hitchazkut. It's about strengthening yourself. We've already spoken about that. V'mashu v'lo yipol b'da'ato machmat shenidme lo shechaverav b'nei gilo tovim mimenu harbeh. And you should be aware when you are working on yourselves not to look at the people around you, thinking that they are much better than you. Even though it's important to be humble, and to feel that everyone is better than you, not to be arrogant. But if you become depressed or upset about it, God forbid, that's not anava. You keep looking at other people and you keep thinking they're so much better than me, and they're this and that. You keep comparing yourself to someone else. Adarabah. זהו גדלות גדול שאין נאה לו שיעבוד איזו עבודה להשם יתברך. ועדיין הוא רחוק כל כך בחבריו, כבזכו למה שזכו. You're thinking that I'm not great. Look at my friends, they've done so much more than me. They can do the sources, they hand it out, they ask these really good questions. Rabbeinu says it's a good question. When I ask a question, Rabbeinu looks at me like I'm a Chinaman, and he says, where'd you get that from? Rabbi Victor looks at me and says, Barur Shelo. Barur Shelo. And my friend said something, and Rabbi Victor said, whoa. From Rabbi Victor. And when I said something, Rabbi Victor fell asleep. I'm looking at my friend and thinking, oh, great. כי אסור להרהר אחרי המקום, ומי יודע מאיזה מקום הוא ואיזה מקום נמשך על ידי מעשיו. You're not allowed to think in that way. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what they really are, who they really are, where they emanate from. כי אין אדם דומה לחברו כלל. No person is like any other. I've hit this before, but this is so important, this thing. Ladies, we spend so much time looking at other people and fixing our lives on what other people are and what other people are doing, and it's just not important. It's important to help other people. It's not important to just to do what you have to do. וכן כל אדם שרוצה לצאת מטומאתו וזהומתו, and a person who wants to leave their own impurity, שזה בחינת ספירת העומר. That's what ספירת העומר is, כדי שתראו, you purify yourself, but it's לכם, ספרתם לכם, count for yourself. צריך לספור הימים לעצמו דייקה. You count for yourself, specifically for yourself, not for anyone else. You are working your levels for you, where you came from. When we're told in Pirkei Avot, Al tadun et chavecha ad shetagia limkomo. Do not judge your fellow until you get to their place. What is the essence of that statement? You will never be in their place. They have different parents, they come from a different town, they went to a different school, they have different experiences. So what does Chazal mean? Al tadun et chavecha. Al tadun et chavecha. It's none of your business. You don't know who they are, where they are, you've got no idea what happened in their house, what happened in their lives, and they have no idea, it's got nothing to do with you. Look ahead, not to the side. That your friend shouldn't bring you down. Your friend has no intention, but you're looking at them, they can do the Makorat, they get right through it. I sit with her, she does the whole Kliyaka, I'm still on the first word in the dictionary. So what am I and who am I? וזהו ספרתם לכם, count for yourself, לעצמכם דייקה, specifically for yourself, והבן and understand היטב. וכאין שכתב רבנו זיכרונו לברכה לפסוק, אחד היה אברהם. This is, Likutei Halachot was written by Rabbi Natan, it was the Talmud of Rabbi Nachman, and it says Rabbeinu is Rabbi Nachman, Rabbeinu Sa'ak B'kol B'kol, Rabbeinu is Rabbi Nachman, and Rabbi Nachman wrote in a different place, Echad Haya Abraham. It's the most beautiful essay. We went to the Ukraine once, I think, with Shana Bet, and we made our t-shirt was Echad Haya Abraham. That was a theme, a big theme in Rabbi Nachman. Abraham was one person. Abraham was Abraham, Yitzchak was Yitzchak, Yaakov, they're different people. But Echad Haya Abraham, and Abraham didn't care. Abraham Ha'ivri, he was on the other side. He said this, everyone else said something else. We are a people, we are Echad in that way. We are Ha'ivri, we are Ivriim. We stand alone today, but we've always stood alone in one way or the other. And the fact that you stand alone should not affect your morale as long as you believe in what you're doing. Not arrogance, you just believe in what you're doing, your essence, who you are. What brought Abraham close to God was that he understood, not in an arrogant way, that there was only one Abraham and there would only ever be one Abraham. And he was at Abraham. And every girl in this room, let's pick someone and embarrass them. There would only ever be one Meirav. There will only ever be one Meirav. Thank God, because if everyone ignored me with their phones, then I don't know what I would do. But if there's only one, Meirav never answers me. She goes on my messages. So I need only to be one Meirav. But there's only one Meirav. There's only one Meirav. There's only one Netanya. There's one Krug. We can't have two Krugs. We go crazy all those questions. Two Krugs asking all those questions. Now I could go through everyone in the room, and if I don't, there's going to be mashkicha meetings. Everyone is one person. The world can't be without you. And you shouldn't be someone else because God doesn't need you to be someone else. God needs you to be you. He didn't create you to be someone else. Rav Amital always used to say in yeshiva, I don't want a load of little Amitalim. I don't want people copying me. And I'm always put off by it when I see someone and I know that we have the same teacher and I see that they're really copying the teacher, it puts me off. Like, a person should be themselves. Be yourself. Not arrogantly, not with your head in the air, but I have a purpose. Echad haya Abraham, v'lo istakel al shum moneh ma'kev u'ma'ber. Nothing got in his way. Determined. I am Abraham. I have a role to play. Usfartem lachem. You are elevating yourself during this period of time. Yourself, not anyone else. They shock it a lot. They take. No, these are things that happen in yeshiva. I don't think they happen with girls because they're much more mature. In yeshiva, the sign of being frum is the longer your amida. You have really, really long amida. You daven, shake around. Do the hokey cokey and shake around. And then before you do Oseh Shalom, you make sure that no one else is still davening to prove that you're Chofetz Chaim. And then you go back. And it's all about. And then the question is, well, when you daven alone, you daven that long when you daven alone? Only in front of people. Pass. Nothing. You have to be yourself and be confident in yourself and do what you have to do. עיין בתחילת הספר לקוטי עניין העניין זה, ובאמת כמו שיש כמה מיני מניעות מהמונים הרשעים ומתנגדים הרוצים למנוע מהאמת בכמה הסתות וביטויים. There are so many things that stop us, evil things that stop us from being who we're meant to be. ודברי ליצנות. כן יש גם כמה מיני מניעות וחלישות הדעת אפילו מחבריו ואוהביו באמת. Even your best friends can weaken you. You feel that competition, the need to learn as much, be as much, but you're not them and they're not you, and who knows anyway? I know I've told you this before, but it begs to be told here. When I was younger, there was a very, very successful film, a true story. It was called Chariots of Fire. You would know the theme music because I think the theme music is still pretty famous. It's a true story. The true story is about an assimilated Jew in England called Harold Abrams, who was paranoid because he was a Jew, surrounded by anti-Semitism, but he wasn't a from Jew. And he got it in he was in either Oxford or Cambridge, I think it was Cambridge. He got it into his mind that he had to win a gold medal at the Olympics. That was his whole being, was to win. This is the first Olympics after the First World War. And he had to win a gold, it's a true story. And he had to win a gold medal at the Olympics. And he became obsessed. Now, in those days, to run at the Olympics, it was all amateur. That was the theme. It's all amateur, not professionalism, no sponsors and no coach training. But he broke one of the rules and he got a coach to train him. And he is running against a man, I think an American runner called George Schultz. And the American runner is a very successful runner. And he's in a running competition before the Olympics with this American runner. And the American beats him. And this new coach is filming with a 16mm, he's filming the run. And he's very down after he lost the race. And there's this monumental moment in this film, which for me is worth watching the film for. The coach shows him the film, and he says, you notice when you got to the finishing line, you turned your head to look to see where Schultz was. And he says, because you turned your head to look at him, you lost the race. It is by looking at other people we lose our lives. We just lose our lives. We're obsessed with looking at other people. And it just takes over. She's happy, she's sad, she's this, she's that. I remember I came to the Kotel when I was 16 years old. I wasn't very strong. All my friends were crying, and I got into this terrible mess because I wasn't crying. Big deal. Big deal. We said to girls when we went to Poland, you feel like crying here, you cried. If you don't want, you're a Nazi because you didn't cry here. What's wrong with you? That's how girls feel. I'm telling you, girls, and you know this, and people cry there because they can't cry. They cry there because they can't cry, and other people are crying. Well, Sheker, what difference? You cry when it feels, and you cry when it doesn't feel. You're you, she's she, so she cries here, you cry. What does it matter? It doesn't say anything at all. You know, why she cried, what made her cry? And I'm sure, I'm not going to ask, I'm sure there are people, I know there are people that they do that. It's not to cry, they cry uncontrollably, and they're not crying because they realise people perish. They're crying because their friends are crying, and I understand why they're not crying, and it must be evil if I'm not crying. No, you're nothing. It doesn't mean anything at all. She's not the Chofetz Chaim because she's crying either. It doesn't mean anything at all. Stop looking. Look ahead. The mashal in that film is run your race. Run your race. Now you do look to the side, to the left and right to help other people, but not to run their race. They have a different race. They come from somewhere else. They come from a different background, and from different parents, from different schooling, from different teachers, and they're running their race and you're running your race. It doesn't mean anything. This one's doing Shiur, this one's doing the army, this one's going to America. It doesn't matter. Run your race. You have to run your race. I would like to do what they are doing. But why would you like to do what they are doing? Because you really want to do it, or because you want to be like them? You don't need to be like them. Be like you. Be like you. Because there's only one you. And they already exist. I can't even explain it, he says. You have to understand how core, grassroots Rebbe Nachman is. Now, I can't even write this. This is so important. And you have to understand it. All the things that make you downtrodden, that think that you don't have any kind of importance in this world. Understand, אחד היה אברהם, אחד היה אסתי, אחד היה אלה, אחד הייתה סקייה. There's only one skier, right? There's only one woggle, okay? You can't have lots of woggles. There's not enough places to ski for lots of woggles. There's echad. Every single person in this room is echad. Everyone is a world. Everyone is a world. Not arrogance, but understanding. Echad היה אברהם לחשוב כאילו הוא יחידי בעולם. To just understand, have that balance between anava on the one hand, and have kind of self-respect on the other, that you have a purpose. Take it seriously. It's your life. Take it seriously. Take your life seriously. We don't get another one. Leave reincarnation aside. We don't get another one. So when you're counting, when you're going through this process from Pesach Shavuot, Usvartem lachem, count yourselves, no one else, count yourselves. I can't tell you how many times I've been through this over the last 2.5 years. How hard I tried to get in the army. I phoned them once a week at the beginning of the war to get in the army. And what do they want me for? And what am I going to do? I'm going to go like my nephew, I'm going to run through the tunnels of Gaza. What am I going to do? I'll run 4 meters and my back will go. Then I'll bend down to pick up the gun and my back will go again. And I'll spend half my time in the infirmary. And then I'll get an allergy, and then something else will happen, then my neck will go. A Kassin needs me like a hole in the head, like we got Milson, like bring the stretcher. We're going to stretcher Milson in, stretcher him out. So I want to be in the army. I don't want to be in the army because I want to be a part of it. But I know that if I go in the army, what am I going to do if they call me up? I'm going to sit in the Chevra Kadisha and wait for a body. Then I'm going to do a body. Then I'm going to wait for another body. That's what I do in the army. But I can wear green. And everyone will think that I'm Yoni Netanyahu. And everyone will think, that happened to me. It happened to me on a bus once, many years ago. I was coming back from Middleware. Anything happened, the only thing I was killed, right? But I'm on a bus and there's this American man with his kid sitting in front of me, whispers over, as Americans do, whispers in such a way that they heard it in Efrat. And he points to me and he says to his son, he was probably in Entebbe. So of course I don't speak about it. Entebbe, right? Everyone will still be there. But I was in Entebbe. Now, what am I going to do in Entebbe? So I can run a school, and I can do what I can do, and not get any glory at all, which is fine. Or I can play with my ego and say, I want to be in the army, I want to go in green, I want to know. And every person you see in green, you imagine is a hero from the army. A lot of people in green are just regular jobs, and they're just doing jobs in the army. But you can get caught in that. Ladies, I got caught every single week for the first year of the war. I phoned the army. I phoned them every week. And I tried to get out of my old job. I'd already, I'm pensioned from the army. You get pension when you're 40, even though I'm 25, but they pension me early. And it's very hard to get back in, especially when you're a little bit older, maybe. And eventually I said to myself, well, what's the Nishagas? What are you going to do there? What are you going to do there? If they call you up pace of time, you're going to kasha kelim. That's what you're going to do. You can kasha kelim at home, help your wife. So we called out with the thing, look at everyone's called up, and so you need to do what you have to do. If you get called up, you have to go. But if it's not your fault, you do what you have to do. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Echad haya Avraham, you are one person. You do it because, and I'm suggesting to everyone, girls, people are doing Shiur Lumi. You're doing Shiur Lumi because you want to serve your people. You're doing the army because you want to serve your people. Right? No other reason. And therefore you'll do whatever you have to do. Because you're serving your people. All you want to do, whatever you have to do. And that will drive you and that will keep you because you're serving your people. And I'm doing what I can do. And it doesn't matter what she's doing and he's doing. It doesn't matter. It just matters that I'm doing what I should be doing. Such a story which is probably the most straightforward of the stories of Rebbe Nachman, HaChacham the Tam, but a story you should all read. The wise man and the simpleton. And the simpleton isn't an idiot. The simpleton is a person who is just focused on what he needs to do. And there is a situation in that story, lots of parts to the story. But there is a specific part of that story which I think is life-changing. And I read the story on my own, and I thought this is life-changing. And on one occasion I was in Oman, and I saw the sentence across the top of a building. And we were there with a group, and a rabbi called Rabbi Dreyfus, who we're very close to, and he asked me why I was coming, and I quoted this, and I said, this is life-changing for me. What is the sentence? If you ever come to my study, it's on the wall in my study. My daughter bought me a little picture with it, and it's on the wall in my study. He is making shoes. The Tam is making shoes, and he makes them very badly. And he picks up the shoe and he says, how beautiful is this shoe? And his wife's like a wife, right? His wife says to him, if your shoes are so beautiful, why does a shoemaker down the road make loads more money than you do? He's so much richer than you are. Your shoes are selling cheap. And then he says the following sentence. זה המעשה שלי וזה המעשה שלו. למה לנו להסתכל באחרים? This is what I do. This is what he does. Why should I be looking at someone else? You put that in your head. This is what I do. This is what he does. I'm focused on what I'm doing. This is what he's doing. And it's got nothing to do with me. Have a look. He says, he wasn't able to make the shoes properly. His sandals were like triangular. They were bad sandals. And he said, oh, look at my sandals. I made these sandals. And his wife brought him down to earth, as wives do. His wife would ask him, אם כן, מפני מה שהרי בעלי מלאכות נוטלים גימל זהובים ועוד זוג מן העולם, ואתה אינך לוקח עם אחד זהב. Everyone else sells shoes for 3 pieces of gold. Your shoes are going for 1 piece of gold. If your shoes are so great, dear husband, why is everyone else making 3 pieces of gold and you're making 1 piece of gold? And he answers her, והשיב לו, מה לי בזה? What do I care? What do I care? זה מעשה שלו, וזה מעשה שלי. He does what he does. I do what I do. And if you want it in Yiddish, das is Jenem's Meiser, and das is my Meiser. That is his action, and this is my action. Lama lanu ledaber me'acherim. Why do we need to look at other people? I do what I do. He does what he does. I couldn't care less. This is what I do. I do it the best way I can do it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what he's doing. הלוא להתחיל לחשוב כמה וכמה אני מרוויח בעלילה זה מידו ליד האור הוא בכך, והבן כי במעשה הזאת מבינים רוב העולם כמה דברים הנוגעים לעבודת השם ורק שצריכים לנהג בדרכי התמימות ולהיות בשמחה. This is when you're serving God, when it has to be בתמימות, without, like the term, without looking at other people, this guy's davening more, this guy's learning more, this guy has this mahadin, that mahadin, everything's what they have and what they don't have. I noticed something, ladies, it's so interesting, and I'm sure you didn't see this. We're on the bus. We had to get on a bus at the airport in Poland for 10 seconds to get from the bus to the plane. We stood on the bus for half an hour waiting to get from the bus to the plane. And it was about a 60-second drive. I know, we could have walked it, right? No, it's Polish, right? And the girl started singing. Remember, you started singing. I will say, bus. The girls I was on a bus started singing. And I'm looking aside at a couple of Charedas. Oh my God! Oh, no. And they were smiling and clapping. Why? Because there were no other Charedim there. They didn't have to put up a face. They didn't have to make a stand. They just accepted it for what it was. And I'm telling you, that had all the other Hasidim been there, hell would have broken open. Because everyone's worrying, and I'll tell you a story. A story I haven't told you. It's a shocking story. I was invited to a wedding to just to say a Sheva Brach. There was a school called Bas Torah. I don't know whether you've heard of it. It was in Muncie. And it eventually moved into Frisch's old school when Frisch moved to their new school. And then it closed down. And I had a wonderful Talmidah from there. We were very, very close. And she got engaged, she's getting married, and I don't know, they paid for me to go to the wedding and say a Sheva Brach. So I went. Normally I go to a wedding, I go to a chuppah, it's a Talmidah, to dance with the girls would be a bit of a headline. And so I leave after the chuppah, like, what am I going to do? Like, another chassid, whatever I'm going to do, let's sit at the table, talk to people, and they don't discuss what we're going to talk about. And so, but I was stuck, right? I was flying home, I had to sit there at the table. This was separate seating, separate seating. I was sitting with all the rabbanim, they were big hand, everyone was very from, and there's me. Me there with my white kippah, mizrachnik. I'm sitting there, whatever, I think Rabbi Miyad was there for a few minutes. He came from Moshe and he was there for a few minutes and we spoke. And I'm watching because there's nothing else to do, so I may as well get up stories for Strive for Truth. So I'm watching, I'm looking. There's a mechitza, right? It's in the atrium. You ever heard of the atrium in Muncie? I think it's a big place people do weddings, right? So there's a mechitza right down the middle. There's a bar. I'm telling you the way it works. There's a bar at the end of the mechitza. There's a bar at the end of the mechitza. Boys and girls are standing and drinking for the whole evening by this bar. And they're American boys. They can't take their drink. They're not Australians, right? They go through a barrel of beer and Englishmen who are drinking whiskey and beer. They're Americans, right? They have a couple of drops and they're all over the place. And they're there with the girls and they're talking. And I'm watching, so I'm shocked, right? This is a frum wedding. It's separate seating. The boys and girls are just all the time. That's not the story. Towards the end of the wedding, I was there right to the end, right? Because I don't know where to go, right? I'm just flying home. So I'm there to the end. And then the Talmidah and her Chatan come up to me and say, There's been no, in the Haredi weddings, they don't do divrei Torah. They just do the wedding very, very quickly. There's no talking under the chuppah, and there'd be no Torah all evening. So she comes to, it's right at the end of the wedding, mostly young people there, and she says, will you give a Dvar Torah to the girl? A lot of Midrashah girls there. I said, sure. Absolutely true story. And they sing in a big circle. The Chatan is next to me, the Kala, and the girls are sitting around. And I start to give a Dvar Torah. And the boys, they stand behind the girls and start to listen. After 2 minutes, the father of the Kala, of the Chatan, who I didn't know, comes up to me, screams at me, and says, this is disgusting. This is not sanua. You have no respect for Masorah. Starts screaming at me. And his son says, Abba, I asked him to speak. Please let him speak. I spoke for a few minutes more, and the father comes up and says, if you don't stop speaking, I will pick you up and throw you out of this room. So I stopped. And as I was going back, and I didn't want, it's a wedding, I didn't want to make a fuss. And I'm going back in the taxi, and Ribono shel olam. The boys and the girls stood there all evening drinking, flirting, doing whatever they do. The minute there was a Dvar Torah, because the boys were next to the girls and the Hasidim were looking on the side, and this wasn't good for the fathers, so I have no respect for Masorah. He's going to throw me out by the scruff of my neck. What kind of Judaism is that? What is it? What's going through the father's mind? This doesn't look good. And it's good that they stood there for the whole time drinking together, and that's fine, that's mutter. But someone gives a Dvar Torah, and the boys are standing behind the girls. They were standing there coupled. They were in control. There was no Kaluk Rosh. It's what it looks like, what people will say about me because what? And that's how it is. And you know that's how it is. You know that there are men who are so proud about their sons in the meal, and they walk around shul bragging, and their son isn't in the meal. He's walking up a meal showing with a cigarette in his mouth because he can't sit and learn, and the meal's too big for anyone to look after him. But the father can brag at home. It's all about me and what people think. What a load of nourishkeit. What does it matter what people think? What does it matter what people think? Who cares what? When I go to Shamayim, God's going to line up. What do you think about him? What do you think? God needs their opinion of me. God knows who I am. God knows it doesn't matter whether I'm black or blue or red or white. That doesn't make me. It doesn't make me. What makes me is me. And if I won't be me, I won't be anything. And if I try and be someone else, I won't be anything. Because I'm not someone else, I'm me. For good or for bad, there's only one David Milston in the world without an E. There's only one David Milston without an E. There might be a David Milston with an E, with a double L, with a stone. There might be a David Milston, but there's only one David Milston, because no one would think of turning the word Milstein into Milston. So there's no one like me. Polly, there's no one like you either. And you have to say that to yourself every day, and not get caught into this. Not get caught. I went to Stern a number of years ago. I was in Stern on a Shabbos, and the girls asked me a question, and they said it with in such an emphatic way that I had to look it up. They said that we're told that you can't get a good shidduch if you wear sneakers. Now, I didn't know what sneakers were. Sneakers are training shoes, right? They're sports shoes. What's that got to do with the shidduch? Where's that in Torah? Where does it say in Torah that Eliezer went to look for a shidduch for Yitzchak? He saw Rivka. She was wearing sneakers. He said, get them off. You don't wear sneakers. No, you're not marrying. Abraham's not marrying a girl with sneakers. She probably wasn't wearing anything. She was probably Mowgli, walking around with bare feet. She was an Arab lady, Rivka. She wasn't wearing sneakers. She wasn't wearing a long black skirt. She was an Arab Sephardi woman. She wasn't wearing Polish clothes, so she doesn't get a shidduch. Because her tablecloth is blue and not white on Shabbos. That my mapa on Shabbat is not white. That I got blue in my Shabbos shirt. What's that going to do? And people will look at me and who cares? Who cares? But not out of arrogance, not because I don't respect people. We do have notions of Chilul Hashem and Marit Ayin where we are meant to take into account the people, but I should be building myself with the knowledge that I am me. And so we have, this is wonderful. This is wonderful, Rabbi Nachman, right? It hits you really grassroots. It really hits you grassroots of things that are Parshat, that have to be said, and people don't say them enough, not in our time. This period between Pesach and Shavuot is about getting back to the Pesach God gave us, doing it yourself. But doing yourself is yourself. And what I tell you, the Kotzker Rebbe said, where he says, don't make pesalim, don't make idols. He said, don't make an idol of yourself. Don't copy yourself even. What you did yesterday, do something else tomorrow. Do something else the day after. Do something else the day after. Every time, do something else, something new, something hachani, which is yours. It's yours. Ladies, value life, but value who you are. Value who you are. Be proud of who you are. Doesn't mean you don't have to correct yourself. But there's only one you. And we need that one you. We need that one you. God created that one you. He doesn't need another Avraham Avinu. He doesn't even, can't have 2 million wolves. Yeah, 2 million wolves. 2 Yakiras. I mean, the whole world will be tzaddikim. Right? Mashiach, 2 Yakiras. Hey, you can't have 2 Rapbergs. 2 Rabbeinis, you can't have 2 Jeremies. You can't. I mean, how long would we sing for with 2 Jeremies? We sing forever. 2 Proks, 2 Ka'echsos. Everyone is one. Everyone is special. And the way you look at the people who are your mentors should be the way you look at yourselves. It should be the way you look at it. You should be your mentors. You should be proud of who you are. You should be ready to make yourself better, to build yourself up. But stop looking to your left and to your right. Just look ahead. Run your race. Be focused on where you need to go and run your race. And then you've got a good chance of running your race. But if you're looking to your left and looking to your right, chaval al hazman. So with that, I wish our dearest Haley, who I will miss, I wish you could have seen, ladies, 1 minute before you go, I wish you could have seen how this young lady has progressed since she arrived at Al Midrashah. And I'm saying it b'shvach. So tell Bella I said it b'shvach. That in my wildest dreams, I couldn't have imagined that you would get to where you got to. So I have enormous confidence that Haley will keep running her race. And we wish her lots of luck. And come back.